Hi, can you say something about grace? It seems to be a popular word in spirituality. The reason I'm asking is because there doesn't seem to be anything in me that is willing to quote and unquote surrender. I'm addicted to anything that changes states of consciousness, and despite having very strong glimpses of natural reality, they don't seem to remove my addictions, or I'm missing something. Do the addictions have anything to do with non-duality in the first place? In other words, maybe it's misunderstanding that awakening would remove addictions. P.S. I'm sorry for spamming nonsense in the past on your live stream. It was probably some kind of anger at myself wanting to get released, so I looked for any target. That's okay, Gina. It's good that you acknowledge that. So I think addictions are most probably something to do with the body and not necessarily seeking energy. I watched a documentary on monkeys, which, I mean, it's just a documentary. It doesn't really prove anything, but the documentary was really interesting. They filmed monkeys that lived near a resort, and these monkeys they'd lived in a tropical atmosphere and always eaten fruit, so rotten fruit, so fermented fruit off the ground. So they'd always had access to alcohol. And when they lived near this resort, they used to go in and drink the alcohol from the humans after the humans had gone to bed. And the interesting part to it is that when they documented it, there's the same percentage of really extreme alcoholic monkeys. There's the same percentage of medium alcoholics. There's the same percentage of some that can take it and leave it. And then there's the same percentage of teetotals as human society. And the really funny part, which really made me chuckle, is the leaders tend to be the ones that are really the drunks, the complete alcoholics. So the leaders are the complete alcoholics. Not all the time. That made me chuckle. Imagining like politicians after they finish their day's work down the pub. So I think that addiction is a bodily thing most probably, and then seeking is added on top of that. So what you're doing in your addiction is you're trying to get home, but even if you remove the trying to get home, the body might have the tendency towards addictive behaviors. So towards getting addicted to alcohol. I mean, they say it's genetic. And I certainly noticed from my friends that I grew up with, those that had parents that drank a lot, they drink a lot. I didn't have parents that drink a lot, and I don't drink a lot. I drink less than my parents. I had grandparents that did, actually. I do think I've got addiction in my family. But both my parents have a tendency towards addiction with food, which is the same with me. I have to be careful with food. Like, I can't bring like a whole Easter egg into my house without it being eaten that day. I can't be trusted. And I maybe could not eat it all that day, but it's a strain. I will keep thinking about it. But I'm not trying to get home by eating the Easter egg. Whereas I think some people, they get their addictions muddled up with looking for home. So there's this belief that you're going to find God or the divine in it. And then there's this naturally bodily addiction, which you'll most probably have to tend to your whole life. And in one way, it's totally down to you, whether you step up and go to all the AA meetings and do the addiction path and stop doing it. And another way, it's not down to you at all. It's something that happens. So in one way, it's effort from you that stops the addiction. And another way, it's grace, because whose effort is it? But it does take effort on the apparent human level to stop addiction. But then whose effort is it? Who's at the base of that? You see that effort comes from nowhere, comes from no place, that there's nobody that's efforting, that's putting effort in. So in one way you could say it's all down to you, and then another way you say it's not down to you at all. It's God's will. Or life's will. Thanks, Juna.